This is the Louisiana School Boards Association, and our main job is to advocate for public education. We're meeting for the 78th time. This is our 78th annual convention, bringing together all of the school boards in the state to discuss what are our common issues. In particular, this year, our main job is to make sure that we can get whatever funds are left in the bucket for us. There's some danger out there that because of our circumstances financially, that we're going to wind up losing, again, some money from the minimum foundation program. And so what we're concentrating on this year is just maintaining where we are now. We're hanging on by our fingernails, and we can't afford to lose any fingernails.
There are several big issues facing public schools in Louisiana. From a policy perspective, we have new federal regulations, the Every Student Succeeds Act, that ultimately will impact local school district accountability. We have issues that are focused on the new governor's transition report on K-12 that hopefully will be part of his legislative package in the upcoming regular session. And then our most immediate concern is funding. Obviously, the state is in a state of financial crisis, and we want to make sure that K-12 funding from the state is not impacted in a negative way. The MFP is in danger of being cut, which is the major portion of state funding that trickles down to local school districts. It is in discussions right now with legislators as part of the cost-cutting measures that are being proposed, which will ultimately hurt our local school districts if state funding is impacted, simply because at the local level, local funding at the local school board level is not where it needs to be due to the national recession or state recession that we're in. Make no mistake about it, we are in a budget crisis, a budgetary crisis in our state. If you haven't watched the news, if you haven't read the newspapers, we're here to tell you today, we are in crisis mode. What exacerbates that fiscal crisis for all of us as local school board leaders is the current state of our economy in Louisiana. Our local sales tax collections are down. For obvious reasons, the price of oil is down. In many of your school districts, you're struggling with your sales tax collections. That's the other reason why we have to advocate that K-12 funding at least remain stable during this crisis while we work our way out of it, because you're already hurting at the local level. Your towns and communities and cities and ports and folks that generate sales tax for you are down in just about every parish. Many of you have bond initiatives and sales tax initiatives on the ballot in the next couple of months, where you're going to your taxpayers in a time of recession in Louisiana and asking them to continue to support K-12 or to give up more money to fund a high-quality education for our students. While in the meantime, we have this debacle at the Capitol that's going on in regards to state funding. So we're in tough times, and it's time for us to step up as leaders.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you, this is not a drill. I know that we have faced budget challenges in the past, and in some miracle way, we always find a way out. The smoke and mirrors are gone, and this is a real budget that's been presented by our Commissioner of Administration on behalf of the Governor of the great state of Louisiana, and it is not a pretty picture. We need the legislators from across the state to hear from the educational professionals across the state here in Baton Rouge. I know that you've heard that we are billions of dollars in debt and we can't cover our expenses. And that's correct. For this particular fiscal year we find ourselves in, that ends, I might add, on June the 30th, we have a $940 million deficit. So let's say that's $1 billion to start. It's 4 months. Let's count. We've got March, April, May, and June. And the longer we delay in trying to try to solve this issue, the worse it gets. Your presence here today is extremely important. And I'm going to jump ahead and I'll come back just a moment. Tomorrow we have scheduled for you to go to the Capitol. That is not by accident. It's a strategic move on purpose.
I want to welcome you to Baton Rouge. I hope you're having a great convention. And the theme of your convention is leadership. That's why you're all here, leadership today and leadership tomorrow. And I want you to know that I want to work with you today, tomorrow, and every day to make that leadership have a real and profound difference in our state and for our children. As I stand before you right now in the current year, the MFP is $12 million short because you enrolled more students than we appropriated money for. At the end of the day, if there's not new revenue, there cannot be a supplemental appropriations bill to make up that $12 million. Now that isn't the end of the world, but it is serious. The most serious thing is next year, when we're going to be $2 billion short on state general fund if we don't raise revenue. While I'm going to do everything that I can to shield the MFP, because you have to prioritize something in government. And if we don't prioritize the education of our children, we are dooming ourselves to failure. I refuse to go there. So right now, in the executive budget proposal, the MFP is left whole, despite the fact that we have a $2 billion shortfall. But I need your help communicating with the legislators to make sure that they too prioritize the MFP and the education of our children. That's what I'm asking you to do on this trip to the Capitol and in all of your conversations with the legislators, both in the special session and the regular session. Let's make sure that we prioritize our children and their education. There is no option about failure. There is no option to fail. We are going to succeed because of you. I'm going to be your partner in that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Education is important to this governor. Public education is important to this governor. And he is seeking our assistance to help him to solve this problem. If we do nothing, there are still some things that he has presented that will not be funded in the supplemental budget that we always have every year. There's about $68 million in the supplemental budget that will not be filled for this current year. That includes TOPS, and we've heard all about that. And when we don't raise the revenue to fund it, the institutions, the higher ed institutions, eat that cost, which is a cut for them. The $12 million for MFP on the student count. The additional students, that's a good thing, right? We've got more students than we anticipated in public education institutions. Corrections, local housing, and DCFS. That's about $68 million. This administration does not want to submit a budget that hurts public education, K through 12 or higher ed at all. But he may not have a choice if this legislature doesn't do anything. He has presented a balanced approach, I believe, of revenue-raising options along with cuts to statutory dedications, as well as cuts to the individual departments. They're very hard cuts. There's been a cut across the board to stop hiring. But the legislature is meeting to hear and to debate all of these issues as we speak right now.
Public education, quite frankly, is the foundation of this country. And in Louisiana, as well as in Arkansas or in California or anywhere else, everything that we do and everything that we are is based upon an educated public. And the most efficient way to do it is through public education. And if we do not continue and even improve our public education here and everywhere else, this country has no future.
What kind of an impact would a 1% cut in the MFP mean for public school students and teachers throughout the state?
Obviously, it would mean a reduction in services, and districts would handle that on a local level in various ways. School districts right now are already planning their budgets for next year, and they're looking at increasing student-teacher ratios, collapsing sections of classes, not offering as many courses as they should be able to offer, longer bus rides for kids by extending bus routes and making more kids ride together. All those things, technology purchases that need to happen in our school districts, all those things would be impacted. Salaries of employees would be impacted. The number of employees that we need could be impacted. So there are major ramifications if the MFP is cut.
I think the biggest thing would be cuts would be made, would be absolutely having to probably let go some of our immediate staff, some teachers, coaches, things like that.
What do you feel needs to happen in this session of the legislature?
Well, we hope that we can continue the fight for K through 12 funding. Is going to be our biggest fight.
A major impact. I'm with the East Baton Rouge Parish School District, and we're looking at $30 million cut and 75 million going to charter schools. So that's taking a big pluck out of our budget, the charter schools, and the children are coming back to us. So it's like a double dose. The money's going out, but then we still have to educate the children because they're not staying in those charter schools because we offer better services than the charter schools.
There's so many unfunded mandates that are coming across our board in these trying times. We're having to fight for every penny we can get. Our sales tax structure is still good, but we're a rural parish area with very limited, a very limited supply of sales tax revenues. So any cuts, any cut at all would really hurt us. We're losing kids to vouchers. We're losing kids to the school choice. It's starting to hit us. So as a rural parish, a small parish, we are being just as hurt as the big guys. So any cut at all will hurt Assumption Parish schools.
K to 12, the minimum foundation is set up to help all 69 school districts. It's based on student enrollment, and MFP stands for minimum foundation, and that's just what it is. And most school system is necessary for them to use local supplements to increase the necessary funding for the students. And of course, if the minimum foundation at the state level is cut, then you have drastic measures that have to be taken by the school board and the superintendent. And this is the reason that we need to oppose this, because the focus on students is what's important, and we want the best educational opportunities for our students. And if that minimum is cut, it's not a maximum, it is a minimal amount that's stayed static for so long, and it needs to really be increased adequately, and that's not been done over the last decade.
What would a 1% cut in the MFP mean to your school system?
It would mean $300,000.
And how would that affect students and teachers?
Well, you'd have to sort of spread this over with cuts you may have to have less teachers, and some of the programs that we have basic programs, and we have those nice things that's enhanced student learning, and we may not be able to have that extra teacher coach that teaches, and these supplements for these people, teacher coach or master teachers, would have to be cut. So it's different with each school districts. Some of your music, art programs may have to be cut by many school systems, and these usually are the first to be cut and the last to be initiated. So again, that's why you need to keep the minimum stable to help the school district throughout the state. With 69 school districts, all are important because they serve a need in meeting the educational opportunities for the students.
The MOP will be, the cut down will be very devastating. It could lead to us roofing some people, causing us some jobs, and that's the last thing we want to cause job. And also, you don't want to overcrowd your classroom. It's so much better if you had, a low teacher pupil ratio. So we definitely don't want MOP to be cut.
It is very important to protect funding for K through 12 education in order that we may move our children forward to have a better education, and that we may have the funding to get all of this, have correct money, good money I would say, to make sure we have good teachers in all of our classrooms, and that we can provide our children with the very best education in the United States.
Any cut to the MFP would be dramatic for any school system in the state of Louisiana. Generally speaking, MFP will, it represents maybe 80 to as much as 90-95% of your total budget. So any reduction will have a dramatic and immediate impact.
In Tangipahoa Parish is where I live, and I'm on the school board there for Ponchatoula area. The documentation they gave us this morning showed that we would be cut $855,000. And it would mean a great deal to continue some of the projects that we have going on. We've just implemented a lot of magnet programs, and we're trying to take a step further with education as far as technology and those type things. So it would mean a great deal to us if we lose that, just the 1%. So I really hope that protecting K-12 education funding is a main topic for us, for sure.
It would be not good for us because right now with our membership where it is, we are the smallest school system actually in Louisiana. So it's important that we're not cut anymore.
What kind of impact would it have on the teachers and the students in the school system?
Right now, to be able to staff, it would have an effect there because we would be understaffed. And it's very important, the leadership that we need qualified persons in the schools. So this is what's important to us, the leadership that they would probably give.
Whenever you have problems with the budget and all the money that you've got coming down the pipe for spending for education, naturally you're going to be concerned about your the K through 12 funding, and higher education takes a lick. And we're just trying to make sure that we, K through 12, we can maintain what we've had and not get any cuts on K through 12 education, because I know it's going to be hard to balance the budget where they're at right now because they're in such a bind in the past of all the funding that they have been, got out of bounds with. So they're going to have to cut a lot of stuff, and we just hope we can maintain what we've had in the past on our K through 12 funding, and we can maintain that.
What kind of an impact would any cuts to the MFP mean for your system?
Oh, it would be tremendous because, all the communities are right now in a bind over money and spending, and so it would have an impact on us, per student, funding. And I think 1% of our funding in this area would cost Ouachita Parish about right at $900,000, and the system as a whole in the state of Louisiana it would be $30 million. So just at 1 penny, if they cut, that's the impact it would have on K through 12.
During this conference, I feel that our important message is to advocate the appropriate level funding for our K through 12 education, and also for our career education, dual education, and special education. And that's been the focus so far. We have many other issues regarding funding, but this right now is our focus, to make sure that we protect our K through 12 public education.
There is unprecedented times that we face in regards to funding. The state obviously is in a huge fiscal mess, not only for this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, but for the future fiscal year, which starts July 1. All those things combined with the fact that at the local level, due to the price of oil, we're seeing the economy really slow down, which impacts local school tax collections. So it's a double barrel shot at local school districts right now, and we have to attack it very strategically and advocate effectively to make sure that state funding is maintained, which will hopefully offset the local problems that exist in regards to local sales tax collections. So we have to start with working with our state legislators to make sure they understand to keep K-12 whole, to not cut, that K-12 not be on the list of cuts that need to be implemented, simply because it's the best investment that the state policymakers can make in our future.
Public education is already in a position across the state and across the nation where we have suffered tremendous cuts as a result of budget reductions and all shortfalls in tax collections and so forth. On top of that, we've had reductions in our fiscal budgets due to charter schools and other kinds of implications. If we are to suffer any additional cuts, it's going to mean some serious problems for school districts. It may mean that districts will have to lay off employees, will have to cut programs, and will have to do a lot of things to bring their budgets into balance. And it will be extremely difficult for those budgets to get into balance.
Budget issues are the biggest issue that all of us face. What do we do with staffing? What do we do with programs? How do we provide the best education for the students in our districts with a budget cut possible to all school districts? I have heard there's a possibility of 1% cut in the MFP. That would be dramatic to our school system, because it would certainly be a sort of crisis situation for figuring out how we spend our dollars in the most efficient way.
We have big issues with the current accountability program. As I mentioned previously, we have a new set of federal regulations that address K-12 legislation, and we need to make sure we get away from a one-size-fits-all rating system, i.e. a letter grade system. We would like to see multiple measures used to determine student achievement or lack thereof, instead of just focusing on one test at the end of the school year, which determines a school letter grade or a district's letter grade. That's not fair to the students, it's not fair to the teachers, it's not fair to school system leaders to have so much pending on one test that's administered. We'd like to see multiple measures used to grade schools.
Talk about three things today that I think are going to be critical for you as members of the system, as retirees.
My message will be to provide an update with where we're at in the retirement reforms that have taken place, to give an update to this group about the PERSAC meeting and what occurred at that meeting, and to talk about what we're expecting to see in the 2016 legislative session. It will be interesting to see what bills. Obviously, there's bills that would change from a defined benefit to a defined contribution system, which would have major impacts for the schools. There's talk now about higher ed and whether they'll stay in the system, which could have major impacts for K through 12. So we'll be watching all these bills as they move through the legislature.
What would you like to see happen? What would be best for teachers?
I think more money. Just like everyone else, it's a very tough time, but this is a debt that the state has owed TRSL for a very long time, and we'd like to see them continue to make the payments. That's the main thing for us.
Speaking strictly as a member of the Bossier Parish School Board, there are a couple of things that have had a dramatic impact on our budget over the last several years. One being retirement payments, or payments that are associated with the retirement system, and health insurance. They have placed us in a near deficit situation with our budget planning multiple times. Retirement payments, and particularly the unaccrued or accrued liability, unfunded liability, is a significant draw on our annual budget.
Teacher retirement, we did hear a little bit of information this morning that is also going to be, on the topic of conversation again, and we definitely don't want our faculty to have to pick up the slack of what the state is supposed to pay. And we have a lot of people actually retiring just because they're scared about what's happening with the retirement system, and they have 30 years and there's a lot of changes in education that they don't want to have to deal with, so they're retiring. So it's really hard for us right now. We've had a lot of people in our central office dealing with curriculum, dealing with transportation that had their amount of years in, and they're leaving because they're scared. They're going to lose some of their retirement monies.
The issue is not about the merits for local school districts. It's not about the merits of charter schools or vouchers or choice for that matter. We welcome the competition, but what we need is a level playing field. We need to make sure that charter schools and voucher recipient schools are held accountable, not only because of the way it impacts K-12 funding, but the taxpayers deserve to know how the money is being spent. Just like they know how the money is being spent in traditional school systems, we need to have those same set of standards in the charter school arena and in the voucher arena.
If every parish, every district, every school, every board was on the same playing field, we wouldn't feel as negative as we might feel about those vouchers and charter schools, but they don't have to adhere to the same requirements and standards as we do. They talk about innovative programs that they're allowed to put into place. Well, why can't a public school put the same innovative programs in place without having to go to Bessie and have to fight Bessie for the programs we want to put into place? They tell us Common Core. They tell us we have to have certified teachers. Well, some of these things don't apply. We're not all on the same playing field. So that's the old. We have no problem with standards. School boards have no problem with standards. We want as much as we can get, but everybody should have the same. Before they tell us we're broke, school system's not broken. It's just in dire need of support, where the support comes from, and that's Baton Rouge.
Concerning assessments, each school district want to make sure we have the proper funding to be able to offer the programs and the tutoring services that our children would need to be prepared for the test this spring.
Around 18 years ago, I was assigned the principal of one of the lowest performing elementary schools in the state of North Carolina, and we had to reinvent ourselves. And we looked at Dr. Covey's work, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, as a framework. Columbine had just happened in Colorado, and our community came together out of desperation to say, we want something different for our children. We want something more for them. And as a result of that, the Leader in Me was born, and it's now in over 2,600 schools around the world. And over 1.5 million children have been impacted by the work that was created.
How does the program work?
It is embedding it into everything that you do. It's not stop and teach, the 7 habits. It's modeled in every curriculum area, so the teacher weaves it in seamlessly into what they're already required to teach.
I learned how to be friendly and how to not fight with my brothers and sisters, just how to get along with each other.
What's your school like now that you've had the program compared to before?
The school is like, it is a complete difference because our school used to be, our principal had to do everything. Now our school is the students do everything.
What I learned was that I learned about the 7 habits, which are habit 1, be proactive, habit 2, begin with the end of mind, habit 3, put first things first, habit 4, think win-win, habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood, habit 6, synergize, habit 7, sharpen the saw.
How have these habits changed you and your school?
They've changed me by doing the right thing at school and at home and everywhere around me. And if somebody's doing something bad, I'm going to tell them what to do, like to do the right thing to do. I learned how to become a better student and follow the 7 habits.
What is your school doing now differently than they did before?
We're doing tracking our data, and we set goals every month. And in PE, my goal is to get more rest, and I will do that by going to bed at 8 o'clock. I learned that in the Leader in Me, it helps you be a better person, and you could use 7 habits.
In this program, I have learned how to work with my partners better at school. I have learned how to do my best work at all times because the Leader in Me brings it out in me to do my best work. It encourages me to do it because at first I didn't want to know how to do my Leader in Me work. I didn't know how to use my school work because it was just too simple and too hard. But then once I learned the Leader in Me, it encouraged me to do my work best. It encouraged me to try my best. And once I learned my best, it helped me do better.
How is your school different now?
My school is different now because everyone is getting treated fairly. At first, everyone wasn't getting treated fairly because everyone didn't get to read, everyone didn't get to participate. But now, my school is doing better because we learned habit number 6, synergize, together is better. So we learned how to use that habit, and now other habits have came into play, and the Leader in Me has brought out the best in us.
What kind of results have you seen so far?
Amazing results. Our children are doing extremely well academically. We now have children who went through this in elementary school who are now graduates of college, and they are doing amazing things with their lives. We've been able to track about 90% of our students, and we're very, very pleased that they have gone on to graduate from high school, also either college or trade school.
Would you recommend this to public schools in Louisiana, and if so, why?
Oh, absolutely. I recommend it for every school, but absolutely. What we have seen at Combs and what we live every day is a testament to our children are more than a score on a piece of paper, that we need to develop the whole child and send a very different message that's been sent the past 10 years, and that's a score on a piece of paper. Yes, I believe that we should do well academically. That's our core business. But children are so much more than that. And the softer skills are what employers are saying that they're looking for. Skill sets of being great communicators, orally and writing, also team players, collaborators, inventors, communicators. These are skills that businesses are looking for, and they can't find them in many youth today. So what we're doing through the work of the Leader in Me is also developing those softer skills of social etiquette and doing the right thing. And
we'd like to get right into our award ceremony. I'd like for you to help show appreciation for one of our legislators of the year. This gentleman took on a challenge of addressing how special education dollars flow in the MFP, and most importantly, how they flow to our students that need the dollars the most, our special needs students. And he took on this task and never gave up, never backed up, and ushered it through the entire process to be signed into law, to where the money follows the child. If the student is served, the money follows the child. Before that, there were some things happening with MFP dollars for special needs students that weren't kosher. And for that, and in addition to his leadership and his honesty and his integrity, we felt it to be an honor to honor Senator Dan Claytor for helping us out last session. Senator Claytor.
I'll keep my remarks brief. I did have help on the other side from a representative by the name of John Bell Edwards that got it done on the other side. So It's never something you do on your own. I had a lot of help, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the job you do. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all so much. What an honor to be here with you all today. And I noticed looking at y'all's agenda that y'all also celebrated Valentine's right here with your friends. John Bell and I celebrated beginning the special session, so I know how you feel. We are so grateful for all of you, for the LSBA, for supporting John Bell and his work and all that he's done in the public school systems across the state. And we appreciate what you all do. I know as elected officials you don't always get told that, but you too are public servants and you serve the people of your district and your area, and we are grateful for what you do for the students of Louisiana. And I want to do a shout out to Tangibo Parish for our school board members over there. Thank you. And we look forward, and what a statement you all made this morning by taking, how many buses was it? 15? Wow, that's amazing. Don't stop for the children. Keep working for them, keep doing what's best for them. Put party aside, Republican, Democrat, Independent, doesn't matter. Do what's right and be led by prayer. And so many of you I met today, you said you're praying for us. We truly know that. We know that we got here because of prayer, and we know that we will be successful because of your prayers, continued prayers, and we ask that of you. And like I said, we ask that you do it for the children and do what's right. Thank you so much, and enjoy the end of your special session. Thank you. And one more thing, I didn't get to tell the band director and the jazz band what an amazing thing. And as an educator and someone who supports music and arts in the school, you'll see me out there eventually be an advocate and a voice for them. So thank you.
We want the public to know that local school districts are providing the best educational opportunity that they can possibly provide. It takes funding to be able to provide a high-quality education, and we all need to work together as local school leaders and citizens in our state to make sure that K-12 funding is protected in this current budget crisis at the state level, and that we should always strive to improve those education outcomes. And we need to work together as citizens, business and industry, school system leaders, all stakeholders need to come together and prioritize K-12.
It's very, very important so we can continue doing what we do, and the kids really, really need the funding.
Everyone knows how important public education is. Without public education, our communities suffer. And I know that in our state, our numbers of students who have graduated with a high school diploma and students who have graduated 4 years of college is one of the lowest. Those numbers are the lowest in the nation. So it's very, very important to the lifeblood of every community in this state that our public systems be viable and they provide for all types of students in each system.
It is the most important part of anybody's life, really. Let's be real. Public education is the backbone and the stronghold of our state. The future of our state depends on our public education system. So it's exciting to see our students move forward. I am really excited about East Baton Rouge Parish in particular. We are looking at everything we need to do to get better. And next year, year after next, in 17, we will open 2 new workforce development schools. And we're going to take a tour of Lee High School today. We're getting to see exactly what a state-of-the-art, high-tech school looks like, school like no other, Lee High School, and about 100 delegates will be able to visit that school this morning. So overall, I think the future is bright for public education.
What impresses me is the positive attitude of all of the people in this room. You'd think, given our financial condition, we wouldn't be nearly as positive as we are, but there is a strength here. There is a vitality here that just amazes me.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
They should give us a call at the School Boards Association, the Louisiana School Boards Association. They can give us a call. I'm not hard to find. They can also go to our website at www.lsba.com for more information.